Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day, good moment to you, wherever and whenever you are on this sweet, wild, sacred earth. I'm Julie Ling, and this is the Voice of Wonder. Thank you for joining me. I invite you to let yourself settle in to a few moments of rest as you listen to the flute and my voice and feel your breath breathing you. Just let yourself come a little more present into this moment, this now here that will never come again. And as you feel yourself settling like pixie dust or fairy dust or the star dust that you are, your body made of the stuff of stars, joining it, settling in, feeling yourself in your shoulders, in your heart, in your belly, in the sweet singing bowl of your hips, feeling your energy as if it were arms and fingers reaching down through your legs and your feet and your toes down into the earth like roots already present, grounding you, feeling gravity holding you to the earth, supporting you. You never have to worry that you'll drift off into the atmosphere. Sometimes I felt like I would, but I never did. Just settling into the moment. And today I want to talk about the notion of an eye for an eye. That if someone's done something wrong, they owe us that pound of flesh. They owe us payment. They deserve punishment. And Gandhi said, an eye for an eye leaves a whole world blind. I felt that. I can't imagine there's anyone who hasn't felt that impulse, wanting someone to pay for what they did. And even if they do, the self-righteousness of it, I can't remember if it's a dopamine or what brain chemical hit it is, but it's very fleeting and it doesn't last. And how often have you heard or seen someone say, yeah, I thought once they got punished, it would make me feel better. But it doesn't really. It doesn't bring back my wife, my son, my innocence, my whatever it is. And it doesn't. And yet that impulse is inside of us. And there's a person in my life who's so angry with me. And they just want me to pay. They want me to pay. And I think pay forever. And it felt very, very hurtful to me. I spent a lot of my day yesterday avoiding it, and then finally at the end of the day meeting it, and I realized that part of me wanted them to see how they were in error, see that they were misseeing me, that the story they've been telling isn't true. And most of my life I thought and believed, and I think I was probably taught and learned pretty well, that if somebody else had a judgment of me, didn't think well of me, that unless I could convince them otherwise, it meant it was true. And I deserved whatever punishment they meted out. and likely forever. And that's so painful. And what I realized was, as I finally met myself in it last night, what I hated was a sense of powerlessness, that my worth was in other people's hands. And God, that pissed me off. I resented it so much. And I felt like I had to control their opinion of me, their view of me, because if I didn't and couldn't, I had to accept their story, their truth, that I was really wrong and bad and just deserved all the punishment they meted out forever. And that was like living in hell. And what I realized last night was that I could never win that game. I can't control what other people think of me. It's not possible. And believe me, I have tried. I have been uber nice. I have been the doormat. I have been all the things. And I cannot control what other people think of me. And I realized that what was going on was the outsourcing of my worth. I wanted them to meet and see the pain in me. And in the past, I would have reached out to a ton of people and asked them to affirm my worth. Is this really true? Am I really awful? Am I really a bad person? Like this person seems to be certain I am? Do I really deserve this bitterness and punishment? And I would have asked and asked and asked again and received again and again and again. No, it's not you, it's them. This isn't yours. You are a good person. And it would have been like water through a sieve. It never would have been enough. And last night, what I finally did was to meet myself in it and say, wow, you know what? I remembered Louise Hayes saying that meanness is simply a person in pain expressing that pain. And I got in my body that this person was in deep pain, expressing that pain in the only way they knew how. And that for them, making me pay felt like it would ease their pain. It would take away the pain they felt. Because they don't know how to meet it. They don't know how to be with it. And how can I judge that? I didn't know how for most of my life. I also learned that loving myself was dangerous, that loving myself was unsafe and would get me slapped across the face, wrapped upside the head, all the things in the past. And when I was finally able to meet myself in it and meet my fear that it might be true, that I was just wrong and bad and should be written off and punished forever, or maybe, just shot. Do everybody a favor. And when I said to myself, no, that's not true. This is this person in pain, in deep, deep pain, expressing that pain. And am I going to see them as the wounded child they are? Or am I going to meet their hate with hate? Am I going to live in an eye for an eye? Or do I choose to see clearly? And that was hard. It was really hard. And I invite you to just drop in and notice where in your life have you looked for worth out there, demanded it out there, pushed for it out there, threatened to club people if they didn't give it to you because you didn't know how to give it to yourself. And I invite you, that's invite and meet. I invite you to meet that part of you with, nope, Queenie, leave it. Maybe not the exuberance of a poodle, with all the loving kindness you can muster. And if you can't muster it, to allow it to flow through you. And I'm going to play the flute while for a moment you drop into that. And if you can't find loving kindness inside of yourself, I offer mine to you. This is a space of loving kindness. of mercy and grace. So feel it around you and just offer up your willingness to let it in. If that's what you can do that. And listen to the poodles playing in the background. And just noticing your breath, how it's still breathing you, even in this uncomfortable place. The breath breathes you in and out, bringing in a little more grace, a little more kindness, a little more compassion, and breathing out a little more pain, a little more hurt, letting go a little more, just letting the breath have its way with you as you listen and are present with yourself. And maybe noticing how when you meet yourself, when you meet your own pain, your own fear, that maybe you aren't good enough, that maybe the only measure of it is out there, and how helpless it feels to not be able to control that despite your best efforts. And even when you do, it's not real because you demanded it. It wasn't freely given. And so it proves nothing. Just meeting that wounded place with love and compassion, or inviting it in. And noticing that as you meet yourself, as you meet your own pain, rather than demanding someone else do something to ease it or beseeching them. And I'm not saying it isn't okay to ask for help, it is. And when we ask from others what we don't give ourselves, what we won't give ourselves, it never feels like enough. And sometimes we can only learn to receive it from ourselves when we receive it from someone else. And I honor that part of that process. And I invite you to step into the power and the capacity to give yourself the grace, the mercy, the loving kindness that you deserve, and to claim your own deservingness of it. Because, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you are the only one who can. You are the only one who can claim your own worth and worthiness. It is an inside job. And when we demand it from others out there, we are demanding an eye for an eye. And that leaves the whole world blind. So this is another way of looking at things. This is another way of seeing more clearly that maybe the problem is less out there than you realized and more in here. And the good news about that is that you have the power to change what's in here. And you can. And if you've joined me, you are. Even if it's a little bit, even if it's just a dropful, I remind you that a shift of a single degree can change the trajectory of a lifetime. So I invite you to just be present with this. there's so much more I could say, and I'll leave it for another day. Right now, I invite you as you step back into your day or afternoon or evening or step sideways into the in-between of dreams, that whenever it comes up, you remember that you are the one you have been waiting for. You are the one to offer yourself the grace, the kindness, the loving kindness that you've been asking for out there. That your worth doesn't live out there. The proof is not out there. Proof's in here. And when you claim it, it's very likely it will be mirrored out there. And that is never the point. When that stops being gravy and starts being the meat and potatoes or whatever, the Impossible Burger, something's amiss. When it's in here, then that's grace. So I invite you to step back inside yourself the next time you see something that feels like an affront, that makes you angry, that you just want your due for. That's an eye for an eye. What do you choose? See it with a kind eye. See the woundedness in it, in yourself or in the other. And remember that your worth is in here, that it's in your power and your responsibility, not duty or obligation, but your ability to respond, to meet yourself wherever you are. It sets you free and it sets free everyone else around you. So as you go about your day, notice how you're looking. Are you seeing with a clear eye, with a kind eye, yourself and others? Are you asking not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you? I can see you're in pain. And meet first the pain inside of yourself. I spent a lot of time writing about this morning, and this video will be posted later than I planned. And it occurred to me that when we look with blame, when we ask what's wrong, what's the matter, that is an eye for an eye. And that, what if that is demanding the other remove the speck from their eye, when instead we could remove the log from our own? Just another way of looking at things. Thank you for joining me. I'm Julie Ling, and today, may your heart sing with a little more loving kindness, with a little more grace. May you see yourself and others with a clear and kind seeing eye. This is the Voice of Wonder, inviting you to have a more blessed and more beautiful day today.